I guess I'll go first. I was K2, and those of you who hear me talk about it over, at first I kind of squished up my nose like, oh, but I'm a 5th grade teacher. It ended up being very good, or a very good thing, positive thing, because I was the only upper grade level teacher to give them an idea of, okay, this is where they need to be, or please stop it, because you're doing more damage. One of the big things...
What does that mean, stop you doing more damage?
Okay, prime example is math being taught in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. So in the same team, let's see if I can find
Okay,
it.
well, let's cut that one short, because
Okay.
math is not appropriate for K-5, our standard saying. Oh, this is all right. I'll do it.
Well, just as an example, of telling where to be, they had the word mass in the same expectation as heavier and lighter. So no, they're not the same. The heavier and lighter is weight. But we use a balance. In that mass, I'm like, no. I said, just don't use weight, which I think is also in GSS uses, it's not developmentally appropriate. That way.
All of the standards say mass is not, it's too
much.
It's too abstract for K-5 students.
And then that because I was having to fix it in 5th grade instead of just introducing the concept and having them get it. Also, the processing skills, some of the such as's were taken out as being too narrow or restrictive.
Such as?
1B, plan and conduct on page 3. Plan and conduct simple descriptive investigations such as the way objects move. The clarification for that is too narrow, limited in scope. We wanted to broaden it to support all student expectations. I think what we saw in
So
this,
take out the such as?
right, such as ways objects move.
Okay.
With the lower grade levels, so you don't have a situation of the ball rolled across the floor, I'm done. And so that was the big deal with the processing takes. I think a consistent thing. Also timing devices, you had, I believe those were,
That's in the introduction. Tools. number
4A. I'm still in kindergarten, but it was pretty consistent, K1 through 2. Timing devices, that was an including we took out, including clocks and timers. A kindergartner, 1st or 2nd grader, they don't even get introduced to time or a clock. 1st grade, I think it's to the hour and half hour. So to try to put it into a clock into a kindergartner's hands, there's no use.
Let me put a caveat on these list of materials. The state requires a district to provide a set of these materials for student use. So you want to be careful about what you take out of these materials.
Right.
Okay? So think about that when you're looking at these materials. I'm not suggesting I don't agree with this, I'm just saying in
Right,
general.
so but we're leaving the timing devices. So, and then the mass, I think with most of the other people on the committee that I saw was, and it wasn't what I think the TA wanted us to do, but with them it was, if you got too detailed, their thinking was if you got too detailed on some of the such as's, that's what would be laser focused on, okay, if I just do this one thing once, then I never have to do it again. That was the big concern with the processing skills. So, the senses, instead of saying the 5 senses, because there are some times where it says the 5 senses, but we didn't want a teacher thinking that they needed to lick energy, taste energy. that actually came up for the lower grade levels. Some of the things where you had something that was in first grade that was higher, I don't know in rigor, but the concept was higher than something that was in second grade. There was a lot of flip-flopping in.
What about 7A?
Observe, compare information, move from kindergarten vertical line, from kindergarten to
Students couldn't compare rocks by size?
Or color even, or
That doesn't make any
Texture.
sense to me.
In kinder?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the process, they're pretty much K-12.
see.
7A.
Right, I'm looking at grade level.
Which letter?
I think the way it was before, I think it wasn't in second grade or compare. They just wanted to make it,
Well, if they're trying to move up the level of rigor by grade level, well, that makes some sense in concepts. I don't think it makes sense in these, compare is not a process, but it is a process. I mean, it's not in one of the process lists. I don't see any sense in taking that out. I mean, they can compare, why shouldn't they compare? Why should they say wait till later?
right.
I disagree, I put an X by that. I'll send that in.
I have a question, Dr. West.
Yeah,
Some of the things she's saying is, when we did over the summer, when we had to deconstruct our teaks, wasn't there the comment or the discussion we were having is the teaks not being clear enough to where teachers didn't understand how in-depth to go, and so now that they are including the such ases, or they're taking them right back out. So, like, should they be more specific so that we do know as a beginning teacher, you know, again, if we're a beginner teacher, how do I know how deep to go, or any kind of examples when you're taking those things back out?
The thing that was discussed on our committee though was, it was the weighing of the importance of making it so administrators and whatnot wouldn't be so focused on, this is the one thing you did it, you know, I hit the teaks.
okay,
But
that's
if
a
you
tail
don't-
wagging the dog, and that is not
Right.
acceptable. It's what we think students should know, not what administrators understand. If they don't understand, it's our job to teach them.
Right.
And if you don't have those things, then don't you get in the thing where teachers are going beyond the teaks, maybe?
That's why you have to go
Unrealizing
to
it,
the
so it's like,
standards. That's why you need those clarifying documents from TEA. But if you look at the standards, they're pretty darn clear about what, you know, they've got what they call grade band endpoints. So by the end of grade 2,
They should
students
know
should know this,
this.
and it's not that. And the standards give a lot of guidance. They're not perfect, but they give a lot of guidance.
Right, and so what you're talking about, well, wouldn't a new teacher, and so well, this is also a point where that's an administrator's job or a mentor to have that, or an instructional coach to show them. I mean, are we gonna tell
And
them
you're
what to
implying
do?
every new teacher gets one of those.
Yeah.
Well, then are we gonna go on the other side, and we're gonna imply that every teacher or administrator is gonna say, well, this is an example, keep going on and on and on. I mean, you
I
know.
don't think we can weaken the TEKS because of administrator ignorance.
Yeah, why
Right,
do
on
they
both
not?
sides.
I mean, really, why do they
Well, I
not?
don't know how good
Like,
administrators, but
they're not in the classroom, they're not in control of our scores, which are what they really care about. So why do they matter when it's what we are teaching in our classrooms that are affecting our kids? When really, they just want
Right.
numbers. And when we take, like, for example, for B,
Uh-huh.
7 or 10B, says identify parts of plants, and they took out such as root stems and leaves, and parts of animals such as heads, eyes, and limbs. So then now you're gonna have teachers teaching all kinds of parts of a plant that a kid in kindergarten is not gonna have an ever-loving clue.
see, that's what
When they should
that's
just
what I
know.
mean. Like,
Root
just like
stems,
that.
leaves. Like,
When you take it out, then they don't
they're gonna teach
They don't
whatever
know.
they want to. And then,
I wanna teach sustainment.
yeah, she's gonna teach
Well,
us
but
things.
exactly, or most of the pictures online have the, the
Every pot
pocket,
label, right?
pollen or whatever. So that's what I mean, when you take those things out, then it starts getting broader and broader. I mean, just find a picture
We're not
online, and that's
attacking
what I
you, we're
take.
just saying that
Right,
this,
well,
we don't
And
understand.
that was
I think I'd rather focus on something.
Well, if you
Then-
look, if you look at the justification, okay, so if you look at the
especially that one,
justification,
there were multiple,
It
this
gives-
was a,
it gives both sides, and you have to make a decision about your comment on it. This is just an opportunity to think it through. I can see both sides, but I think there has to be a caveat that we don't know about. Is TEA gonna provide clarifying
Like I said,
documents?
without.
They've had their budget cuts, and actually, schools are looking at another 6 to 8% budget cut for this spring legislature because of the oil declining. So you're talking about, I would go, only because I just heard this last week about that 6 to 8% budget cut, I would be inclined to say, I disagree with this because we're not gonna get clarifying documents.
So we
Yeah.
should have those such as is
Yeah.
left in.
So I had to check my
well,
now change
here's the other
next.
thing, if you have and this was a big discussion, it's like, well, we need that focus a little bit, but that's, such as is just an example.
But that's also what they test.
I think, huh?
Isn't that also what they test though, like for 7th grade specifically?
If you give
One of
this-
the things that they, like the question says, such as turgor pressure, geotropism, and emergence of seedlings? Yes, and then in 8th grade, it's tested, I think, by the act of gravity, roots grow down or something. But either way,
Right.
that such as is what's tested. So if we take out the such as's,
Then you
then
don't
how
know
are we
what's
gonna know what they're gonna test under this big umbrella of knowledge?
The other thing I think you have to be careful of is, and I mentioned it earlier, and it says it in this statement about implied in the SE. Well, it is implied, I understand it perfectly because I'm an expert, but if you're not an expert, this is written for the new teacher. That's what the TEKS are supposed to be.
And
They're
it
not
should
written
be.
for me. They're not written for you guys that have the content background. They're written for someone, a generalist who comes in who can have no college science coursework.
That's what I was.
Exactly.
When I was in the
Right,
first
and
year
that's
here, I was
the
like,
comments that need to be made on there. That one was a big deal. And then but you have some kindergarten, that was the debate I got into with Mass, with the kindergarten teacher. And she's like, well, my kids can get it, they get it, and I teach it. And it's like, yeah, you
No.
I
know?
guarantee they don't
Good for you.
understand
No, I
math. My
don't.
7th graders don't comprehend
Right.
math.
no.
So I don't.
I would like, yeah,
sound good.
with TDA, the clarification, so that's.
Okay, well, let's move on. So I'm over on grade 1 on page 7, which is the next one.
Okay,
I agreed with that. I thought that they should be planning, notice it says plan and students plan and conduct
simple investigations.
restricted investigations.
Right.
Wait, what? Page 7?
Page 7,
2.
2B,
Oh, planning.
And then we took out that such as ways objects move.
And the other thing with that, so with the taking out the such as whatever, but that's also a known, so a classroom pet or something like that, something that those kids are gonna be able
Oh,
at that age
3A.
level.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
on
sorry,
3A.
3A. So identify and explaining problems such as finding a home for a classroom pet and propose a solution in his or her own words. Like, that's helping them develop that sentence structure and that speaking and developing their speaking skills. Which is
Right.
maybe why by 7th grade they still can't make a complete sentence.
Well, and the reason behind that though,
Imagine that.
taking out the finding a home for a classroom pet, that, needing the examples, that may be limiting, because I don't know, it's getting out, a lot of teachers don't have a classroom pet. Identify a problem, and then they can just find a problem, they can use what they have in their environment as a problem.
But some people might not make those, and intelligent choices as what a problem should be for a kindergartner.
Well,
That
then
they
you're
can
getting
solve.
the whole, then they're not doing their job as a kindergarten
Exactly.
teacher though.
Which we,
I mean,
that's where we're getting.
But how are they supposed to know?
But without an example, how are they
Without
going
it,
to know? That's what she's saying, is
I'm
without
getting-
some kind of,
okay, but,
such
Okay, let's
as.
not come to a conclusion, let's just discuss
Right.
these, okay? We're looking at pros and cons, so we're now on page 8. And you took out clocks.
including clocks and timers.
And timing devices,
Right.
and took out non-standard measuring items
Mhm.
such as paper clips and clothespins. Is a second grade or first grade teacher gonna know what non-standard
Non-standard
items are
measurements?
from math?
Yes, I mean, if they have their degree in teaching,
A generalist degree, you do not learn
Or-
those things. I'm
Or-
sorry.
yes, I did. I got my EC4 from here and we learned what that
What
was.
if
Well, you
also-
guys-
And you're very first
Hey,
year.
one at a time.
Yes.
Well, you asked me that question about non-standard measuring items.
Yeah.
I would ask the question, would a first-year teacher know what a descriptive investigation was?
Nope.
No, they should, because that's in their certification standards. Yeah.
Well, coming from someone who came from Ohio to this great state and took the Texas teachers
Mhm.
crap, no, you don't learn that.
I know.
So when I
but it
started
doesn't mean
teaching
you shouldn't
science
know.
here, from, well, in Ohio, we don't do that. We don't do,
We don't do science.
we do experiments. We do those things you don't like.
It's-
So when I
Hey,
came to
hold
here,
on.
I didn't know what those things
That
were
is-
either.
Those are not my words, those are in the national standards.
But I'm saying
I'm
is
just bringing them
like,
to your attention.
but depending on a lot of places, teachers come from other states.
Exactly.
Like Chicago, we had a teacher that just moved from Chicago. They don't follow TEKS. They've never seen such thing.
That's the
it's
district's
a
responsibility,
Texas-
that's the teacher's responsibility. These have to be written so that the children are protected. We cannot protect, I mean, this is protect from stupid teachers and lazy teachers, and it's saying for
But that's what
administrators.
they're saying is what they're
I don't-
doing is cutting all those things out when you.
That
cut
would have
the
been
Support
sections.
for those teachers.
That would have
Yeah.
been helping. Instead of saying that there's, well, again, I started my first year here in mix. You know, university
Remember.
teaching degree, you know, so I didn't know a lot of the things I have learned, and that's